My child, if you are reading these words right now, I want you to pause for just a moment. Take a breath. Let yourself be present. I see you exactly where you are. I see the room around you. I see the thoughts quietly moving through your mind. I see the weight you have been carrying, even when you smile and tell others you are fine. This moment is not random. You did not stumble upon this message by accident. I guided you here because there is something you need to hear, something you need to understand about who you are and what you have been walking through. You may feel ordinary right now. You may look at your life and see only struggle, delay, and disappointment. You may wonder why things have taken so long, why doors keep closing, why you feel so different from everyone around you. But what you perceive as ordinary is anything but. What you see as delay has been preparation. What feels like isolation has been intentional. I have been watching you for much longer than you realize. Not with judgment, but with deep care and attention. I saw you 3 months ago when you sat alone questioning everything. I was there 6 months ago when you woke up in the middle of the night with that heaviness in your chest you could not explain. I watched you last Tuesday when emotion rose up unexpectedly, and you had to step away to collect yourself. These moments were not random. These were not signs of weakness. These were divine interruptions, gentle taps on your shoulder, me trying to get your attention to show you that I see everything you are experiencing. You have always known you were different, even if you could never fully articulate how. People have told you that you think too deeply, feel too intensely, care too much. They suggested you should relax, lighten up, not take everything so seriously. But you could not change this about yourself because it is woven into how I created you. You notice things others miss. You feel shifts in energy that others walk right past. You sense truth beneath words before they are even finished being spoken. You carry awareness that feels like a burden sometimes, but it is actually a gift. This is not a flaw in your design. This is your system operating exactly as it was meant to operate. You were built differently because you were built to carry what others cannot see. And I know how exhausting that has been. I know how many times you have felt like too much, too sensitive, too complicated. I know how often you have wished you could just be normal, just fit in easily, just not feel everything so deeply. My beloved child, what if I told you that every confusing, painful, isolating experience you have endured was not punishment? What if I told you that the last several years of your life have not been wasted time but careful preparation? What if the very things you thought were evidence of failure were actually evidence that you were being prepared for something specific? Let me tell you what has really been happening. Every relationship that fell apart was teaching you something essential about love, boundaries, and your own worth. Every financial struggle was developing your ability to trust when circumstances made no logical sense. Every season of isolation was training you to hear my voice clearly without the noise of other opinions drowning it out. Every closed door was redirecting you away from what would have kept you small and toward what will allow you to grow. You thought you were just surviving. You thought you were barely holding on. You thought you were failing some invisible test. But what was actually happening is that you were being refined. Not destroyed, but purified. Gold does not become valuable by sitting in comfort. It becomes precious through heat that burns away everything that is not gold. That fire you have been walking through was not meant to break you. It was meant to reveal what is unbreakable within you. The relationships that walked away did so because they could not exist at the frequency you are being prepared to operate in. This is not about superiority. This is about alignment. Some people are meant to walk with you for a season. And when that season ends, their departure is not rejection. It is release. They served their purpose in your story, and you served yours in theirs. The pain of their leaving was real, but their leaving itself was necessary. The opportunities that closed were not signs that you are cursed or unlucky. They were redirections. I closed those doors because I could see what you could not. I could see that accepting those offers would have trapped you in something smaller than what I have prepared. I could see that saying yes in those moments would have meant saying no to something far greater coming later. You could not see this in the moment, and that is why it hurt so much. But I was protecting you even when it felt like abandonment. The season of isolation you have walked through was not punishment for something you did wrong. It was preparation for something you are being called into. Most people need constant validation. endless reassurance, perpetual encouragement from others to keep moving. But where you are going, there will be moments when you are the only one who can see what you see. If you needed a crowd to feel confident, you would crumble in those moments. So I taught you how to stand when no one else was standing with you. I taught you how to trust your discernment even when no one confirmed it. I taught you how to be okay in the silence. That ability to stand alone without falling apart is essential for what is ahead. Not because you will always be alone, but because you will sometimes be the first to see something, the first to move, the first to speak. And in those moments you cannot wait for permission or validation from others. You must be able to trust what you know, even when you are the only one who knows it yet. I want you to understand something important about how I have been working in your life. The things you have been through were not random trials thrown at you without purpose. Each experience was specifically designed to build something inside you that will be necessary for what comes next. You were not being punished. You were being prepared. There is a significant difference. Think about the moments when you wanted to give up but something inside you refused to quit. Think about the nights you cried yourself to sleep but still woke up the next morning and kept going. Think about the times you chose honesty even when lying would have been easier, when you kept your word even when breaking it would have been more convenient, when you did the right thing even when no one was watching. Each of those moments was building something. Each of those choices was strengthening your foundation. You have developed 3 qualities that cannot be taught in a classroom or learned from a book. They can only be forged through experience, through pressure, through choosing integrity when it costs you something. First, you learned emotional depth without emotional instability. You feel everything intensely, but you do not let those feelings control your decisions. You can be heartbroken and still show up for others. You can be afraid and still move forward. You can be exhausted and still stay present. This kind of emotional maturity is rare. Most people either suppress their emotions completely and become numb, or they let their emotions run wild and become chaotic. You learn to feel fully and act wisely. That took years to develop, and it will serve you in ways you cannot yet imagine. Second, you built mental endurance under sustained pressure. When chaos erupts around you, you become calmer, not more frantic. When others panic, you become clearer. When situations look impossible, your mind sharpens instead of scatters. This was not something you were born with. This was forged through years of circumstances where falling apart was not an option. You learned to think while your heart was breaking. You learned to make decisions while your world was crumbling. You learned to stay rational while emotions were screaming. Each of those moments was training you for the kind of pressure you will face ahead. But this time you will face it with strength instead of survival mode. Third, you developed moral consistency when no one was watching. You did the right thing even when it cost you. You told the truth even when a lie would have been easier. You kept your promises even when breaking them would have been more convenient. There were opportunities to compromise, to take shortcuts, to make choices that would have made your life easier in the moment, but would have damaged your integrity. You refused. That refusal cost you opportunities, relationships, advancements, comfort. But that refusal is precisely why you are ready now. Because integrity is the foundation of everything I am about to build through you. If you found encouragement in these words, would you share this message with someone who might need to hear it? Sometimes the simple act of passing along hope creates a chain reaction of healing you cannot see. Now, let me tell you what the past years of your life have actually been about. You thought you were wandering aimlessly. You thought you were stuck. You thought you were falling behind while everyone else moved forward. But what was really happening is that I was developing in you a depth of character that most people never acquire. I was building a foundation strong enough to hold what I am preparing to place in your life. There is a difference between a house built quickly on shallow ground and a house built slowly on deep foundation. The first looks impressive initially but crumbles when storms come. The second takes longer to build but stands firm when everything around it shakes. I have been building the second kind of foundation in you. That is why it has taken time. That is why the process felt slow and frustrating. But a structure built this way can hold weight that would crush something built hastily. You are not behind schedule, you are exactly on time. The timing you wished for was based on what you could see. The timing I have been following is based on what I can see, which includes the future you cannot yet perceive. If I had given you what you asked for when you asked for it, you would not have been ready to steward it. It would have overwhelmed you, or distracted you, or kept you from becoming who you needed to become. So I let you wait. Not because I was ignoring your prayers, but because I was answering them in a deeper way than you realized. You prayed for provision, and I was teaching you faith. You prayed for relationships, and I was teaching you wholeness. You prayed for opportunities, and I was teaching you readiness. The delay was not denial. The delay was development. I know there were moments when you felt forgotten. Moments when you looked around and saw others receiving what you were hoping for. Moments when you wondered if you were doing something wrong, if you were being punished, if I had simply overlooked you. My child, I never forgot you, not for a single second. While you were feeling invisible, I was watching you with profound care. While you were wondering if anyone noticed your struggle, I was noticing every tear, every sacrifice, every quiet act of faithfulness that no one else saw. The others who seemed to move forward faster were not more deserving or more loved. They simply had different assignments that required different preparation. Your path looked different because your destination is different. Comparison would only distract you from what I am doing specifically in your life. Their timeline is not your timeline. Their process is not your process. Their calling is not your calling. You have a specific assignment that has been waiting for you since before you were born. Not something I created recently as an afterthought, but something woven into your design from the very beginning. This assignment requires everything you have been through to prepare for it. Every painful experience gave you empathy. Every betrayal taught you discernment. Every loss developed your resilience. Every moment you stood alone strengthened your ability to trust me over circumstances. This assignment is not about fame or recognition or building something impressive that makes others applaud. This is about influence in specific lives at specific moments. This is about being positioned exactly where you need to be when someone desperately needs what only you can offer, because of what you have walked through. This is about carrying light into dark places because you know what darkness feels like, and you know how to find light there. You will not always know when you are fulfilling this assignment. Sometimes it will be obvious. A clear moment where you see the impact, but more often it will be subtle. A word spoken at the right time, a presence offered in the right moment, a decision made that shifts something you cannot see but I can. You will not always receive feedback or thanks. You will not always know the full effect of your obedience. But I see every single moment, and nothing you do in alignment with who I created you to be is ever wasted. In the coming months you will notice changes. Not because you are suddenly working harder, but because the season is shifting. What was held back is being released. What was closed is being opened. What felt impossible is becoming possible. This is seed planted years ago finally breaking through the ground. The growth was happening underground where you could not see it, but now it becomes visible. You will see this first in small ways. An unexpected opportunity will present itself. Someone from your past will reach out with significant timing. A door you thought was closed will crack open in a different form. A financial shift will occur that you cannot explain through effort alone. These will be confirmations that what I am telling you is real. Pay attention, do not dismiss them as coincidence. Recognize them as my hand moving. Within months, you will find yourself in a completely different space. Not necessarily a different city, but a different place emotionally, relationally, spiritually. Things that felt heavy will lighten. Situations that felt stuck will shift. People who drained you will no longer have access. You will wonder how this transition happened so quickly after waiting so long. It is because the preparation is complete. The foundation is solid. Now it is time to build. If these words are stirring something in your spirit, take a moment and leave a comment. Even just a simple word that captures what you are feeling. Sometimes when we acknowledge what God is doing, it opens the door wider for Him to do even more. You will also notice changes in how you respond to things. Situations that used to trigger anxiety will no longer shake you the same way. People who used to have power over your emotions will no longer be able to pull you off center. Circumstances that used to send you spiraling will bounce off the strength that has been building inside you. This is not because problems disappear. This is because you have been transformed through the process of enduring them. You are not the same person who entered this season of struggle. You are stronger, wiser, clearer about who you are and whose you are. You have learned to discern between your thoughts and my voice. You have learned the difference between fear and wisdom. You have learned when to fight and when to rest, when to speak and when to be silent, when to hold on and when to let go. These are not small things. These are the kinds of lessons that position you for lasting impact. I want to talk to you about something that may have confused you for a long time. You have probably wondered why certain people were allowed to hurt you, why I did not stop betrayals before they happened, why I let you walk into situations that caused you pain. You may have questioned whether I was really protecting you if I allowed such painful things to occur. Let me explain what you could not see. There is a difference between protection from harm and protection through harm. Sometimes I protect you by preventing difficulty, but sometimes I protect you by walking with you through difficulty and ensuring it does not destroy you. The second kind of protection actually makes you stronger. It builds something in you that comfort never could. The people who hurt you were not sent by me to wound you. They made their own choices. Choices driven by their own pain and brokenness. But I allowed their choices to intersect with your life because I knew I could take what they meant for harm and transform it into something that would ultimately strengthen you. I did not waste your pain. I repurposed it. Every betrayal taught you to guard your heart wisely without closing it completely. Every lie you encountered sharpened your ability to recognize truth. Every person who walked away made room for people who are aligned with where you are going. The enemy meant these experiences to break you, to make you bitter, to cause you to give up on people and on me. But I turned every attack into training. I used every weapon formed against you to forge weapons in your own hands. You learned to hear my voice in the silence when no other voice was available. You learned to trust your discernment when no one else confirmed what you were sensing. You learned to stand in truth even when standing alone. These abilities are rare and precious. They cannot be learned in comfort. They can only be developed in the kind of pressure you have walked through. And now you possess them, and they will serve you for the rest of your life. I also want you to understand why the isolation felt so intense. There were seasons when you were surrounded by people but still felt alone, when you spoke but felt unheard. That kind of loneliness cuts deeper because it happens in the middle of community. It makes you question if something is wrong with you. Nothing was wrong. You were simply operating at a different frequency, not better, just different. Your concerns were deeper, your questions harder, your awareness sharper. Most people stayed on the surface, but you could not ignore what you sensed beneath. That created a gap that felt like isolation, but that isolation served a purpose. It taught you to find worth in who I say you are rather than in how others respond. It taught you that validation from people is wonderful but not necessary for you to keep moving. What started as loneliness I transformed into solitude. And in that solitude you learned to hear me clearly. The relationships coming into your life now will be different. They will not require you to shrink or hide. You will not have to explain yourself constantly. There will be mutual recognition, a sense of finally being seen. These connections will feel easy in a way previous relationships did not because they are aligned with who you actually are. Some are already in your life, but the relationship will shift and deepen. Others will be new. Stay open but discerning. Trust your instincts now. I need to talk to you about the assignment ahead. This calling is not about doing more or proving yourself worthy. You are already worthy. You do not earn my love through performance. You have it simply because you are mine. The assignment is an invitation to partner with what I am already doing. You will be placed where people are struggling with what you have overcome. They will not always know why they feel drawn to you, but it will be because I placed in you an understanding that comes only through experience. Your words will carry authority that comes from having walked through fire and survived. Do not minimize your story. What you went through matters. The way you responded matters. Your willingness to be both vulnerable and victorious creates a bridge for others to cross. When doubt whispers that you are not enough, remember that I do not call the qualified. I qualify the called. Your adequacy comes from my presence with you. Moses had a speech impediment. David was overlooked. Gideon was hiding in fear when I called him mighty warrior. Peter denied me. Paul persecuted my people before I transformed him. I have always used people who feel inadequate because they understand that any success comes from me, not from their own strength. Stop trying to become perfect before you start moving. Start moving and trust me to perfect what needs perfecting. Faithfulness is more important than flawlessness. I want to give you some specific things to watch for in the coming weeks. These are confirmations of what is already in motion. First, pay attention to dreams that feel unusually vivid. I often speak through dreams because your conscious mind is quiet enough to receive. Second, notice conversations that feel significant even when the topic seems ordinary. I speak through people all the time, often through those who have no idea they are delivering a message. Third, watch for who enters your life and who exits. I am always aligning you with the right people at the right time. Trust those instincts. You have been faithful in the wilderness. You did not quit when quitting would have been understandable. You did not become bitter when bitterness would have been justified. You did not close your heart when shutting down would have been easier. That faithfulness did not go unnoticed. Every moment you chose trust over fear, hope over despair, love over bitterness, I saw it. The wilderness season was necessary, but it is ending. What felt like wandering was actually preparation. What felt like being lost was actually being led. What felt like wasted time was actually invested time. You were not stuck, you were being planted. And what is planted deep produces fruit that lasts. You are entering a season of harvest, not because you suddenly worked harder, but because seed planted years ago is ready to produce fruit. Small acts of obedience, quiet choices to do right when no one noticed, moments of kindness when you had nothing left to give. All of it was seed. All of it is about to produce in ways that will surprise you. This harvest will not look like you expected. It will be better, but different. You had certain pictures in your mind of how things should unfold. I am going to exceed those pictures while also redirecting some of them. Trust me in both. I see the full picture. You see a moment. What looks like a detour is actually the main road. What looks like a delay is actually perfect timing. I am so deeply proud of you. Not for being perfect because you are not. Not for never struggling because you have, but for continuing to choose me even when it cost you something, for refusing to let pain turn you into something you are not. For maintaining your integrity when compromise would have been easier. For keeping your heart soft when hardness would have been understandable. The enemy wanted to use your pain to destroy you. I used your pain to develop you. He wanted your struggles to make you quit. I used your struggles to make you qualified. He wanted your isolation to convince you that you are alone. I used your isolation to teach you that you are never alone because I am always with you. You are stronger than you realize. You carry more authority than you have stepped into yet. The next season is about you discovering the fullness of who you have become through what you have overcome. Stop waiting for everything to be perfect before you step forward. Stop waiting to feel completely ready. The clarity you are waiting for comes through movement, not before it. Step forward and watch how the path becomes clear as you walk. Your assignment is active. It has been waiting for you to be ready, and you are ready now. Not perfectly ready, but sufficiently ready. Not without questions, but with enough faith to take the next step. Walk forward, my child. Not in fear, but in quiet confidence that you are deeply loved, carefully prepared, and fully equipped for what lies ahead. I am not finished with your story. This is only the beginning of a new chapter, and it is going to be beautiful. I am with you. I have always been with you, and I will continue to be with you every single step. You are mine, and I am so very proud of you. Now go step into what you were created for.